Mother Nature clearly had different plans for me. So we're to spit and then sprinkle, and now we got a light rain. So I didn't get as much done as I wanted to before the rain came in, but I've got almost all those up except for one that I didn't cut wrong. Just the one next to it was supposed to be a little shorter, so I cut it shorter, and that threw my count off. But I'm out of lumber now, so I'd wait for that to show up, and I was hoping to start putting on some sheeting, but not in this, because then all my nail gun gets wet, nails get wet, saw gets wet, and everything gets wet. So what I'm going to do is come up to the second floor. You can see some of these drips. So drip there, so drip there, so one there. So what's killing me about this, there's one there, there's one there, is I have no idea where these are coming from. So this is dripping out of this seam, which means the leak has to be between this seam and the next one up, which is here. So it's pretty easy to find out where those are on the outside, especially I've got one. Like that one, for example, I can clearly see it's, you know, one rafter off of this opening, and you'll go up on the roof and look all through this area, and there is nothing. I can't see anything, and I can see right there. So that one's leaking twice. It's coming from farther up. Okay. I just don't know what to do. I don't know why these are leaking so bad like that. So this one could be another leak from up here, or there could be one here driven out down there, or this one could be leaking all the way through down to there. I don't know. It's driving me nuts. I know I've got one right above this header. So I can see it here. It's right there, and that should be easy to find. And like there's one right there, but the problem is they don't leak all the time. Like that one's not leaking right now. That one's not leaking right now. That one wasn't there yesterday, but it's there now. I just don't, it's just randomly popping up. There's a big one down there that wasn't leaking before. It's just weird, they just show up all over the place. This is just water through the windows, and that's where I swept it over and then down the steps. So it's weird, and I gotta get the roof on, because I know that'll stop all these drips. I just don't know where they're coming from. You know, you'd think you'd put this zip system on, which is supposed to make your house airtight. You think it would make it watertight too, but clearly that's not the case. There's a big leak right here that wasn't here yesterday. And then tomorrow, if it rains, it may not be here. It's really confusing. There was a right here, you can see this is now dry. There was a big leak here for the first two light showers that we had, and then we've had these downpours. Nothing. It's just, I don't get it. You know, this room's the same way. That one's been there more than once, but there used to be one right here. There was a big one over there. Those are now gone. Man, I don't understand. But I know that sheeting is not gonna hold up if it keeps getting wet like this. Oh, there's a new one right there coming from that seam. Now I did mark that one in white. I went through and sprayed them once where I saw leaks at, but some of those aren't leaking anymore. There's some I sprayed in white. This from the very first time I noticed leaks, I sprayed them in white. So that one's still leaking. This one's not. That one is not. And they were all on this north side, which is where I put that tape on. It was raining a little bit, so I thought that was it. So this one is no longer leaking. It's not leaking anywhere down the wall, so it's not like it stopped there and now it's dripping somewhere else. It's just not dripping at all. So I'm confused. Here's another one. That one that was leaking, no longer leaking. I don't know, it's weird. I did go up and I re-rolled several sections of the roof, so you know, maybe that had something to do with it. It doesn't explain why new ones popped up and old ones disappeared. I'm just, I don't know. I really thought when I got that tape on there and got everything sealed up, that was going to be the end of our water issues, of any water getting in here, and that getting that water in between the insulation and the sheeting was a huge concern of mine, and now I have no control over it. There's no rhyme or reason to how this is playing out. So gotta get that soffit done and get that roof in. But since it's raining out right now, I want to support this section. This is where all the solar panels are going to be going on this section of the roof right here. So to help support that weight, I'm going to come in 3 foot, put a stem wall all the way down here, and tie it into each one of these rafters. This area I still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do this over this opening here. I know I'm going to take this wall section and run it straight up, but I've got this gap here. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I don't know. Figure that one out. Now they wants to put like a stained glass thing here, which would be pretty cool. What I may do is run this wall or this ceiling, just run it all the way across. And I haven't built this wall yet either, because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing yet. Anyways, run that wall or run that ceiling all the way across, and I'd block off most of that. But then I could get access to this part of the ceiling through an opening right here. I could crawl in and over. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing to make sure I have access over there. Anyways, it's confusing. Wish I was a dog. Just could lay around and curl up with your buddy and sleep. Oh, sneakily recording them.
Right, I'm gonna comment.
So we're in the camper, I look out the window and the girls are putting mud on each other's faces. Whereas Valerie's up and gone now.
Mind you, they've already had their showers.
No. Every time I go to record, Valerie disappears. She was just out there, like, eating a flower and spitting it out with her face covered with Indian mud marks. Now all I see is Valerie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm up on the roof again trying to find where these dang leaks keep coming from. This right there is where the bump out is on the stairs, and there is a leak from the seam that runs across here in the insulation, meaning that it's somewhere between that and 4 foot up, which would put it halfway between this sheets right in here. So looking at my flashing, I don't see any issues there. Looking at the tape, this has all been rolled twice. You know, it looks a little spongy, but you can't peel this stuff back. I mean, it doesn't come up. It's down there. It's hot right now, so it's definitely mushy. Yeah, I don't know if it's not sticking or when you can't pull it up, which is weird. I have rolled it and it seems like it's weird. You can push on it and it's mushy, which may mean there's water behind it, but you just can't peel this stuff up. And it's been rolled twice. I just don't know where the water's coming in from. It's confusing, aggravating. It does seem like it's kind of bubbly though. But again, you can't like peel it back and roll it up or anything, like it's not stuck down. So I don't know. If you go up to the next one, it's the same way. I don't know. I looked through several of the spots that I've done that are leaking. Another spot that was leaking was right here on this corner, right through here, and this is just down. I mean, it's not all bubbled like that other stuff was, maybe being the sun too long, but this was just put down, so this is really tight. And it was leaking like crazy right here. I don't get it. There's no, all the seams are good. I just don't know where it'd be coming from. Really frustrating. So it's just a race to get the shingles on, since this thing is leaking like crazy and it's not supposed to be. Well, not like crazy. I mean, I do have several leaks, but it's not like it's raining inside. But it's still frustrating. So anyways, I'm working on getting these soffits done. So I just finished up that one, working on this one coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and start on this one across, so I know exactly where this one ties into, and then go from there. So I'll go back to work. Can't see it till I zoom in, but there's a really creepy sun out. The video doesn't do justice to it, but it's like super red. There we go. Kind of spooky.
Okay, so on the south side, Tim has, about halfway done. A little bit less than halfway, but doing it over the top of where that window is going to be, that took a little bit extra time. And because the angle, it does look like it tilts down, it is even. But it looks more like a barn, that it has that front part on. And we've been talking about getting some different hardware or pulleys, because the old barn does have some old pulley systems in it that we're talking about putting on the top of that, or not the top, but over the peak. And then we have some cupolas that he's going to put on there. There's going to be one right in the middle. Put the attic fan in that one, and then we'll have two more. One of them, the front one's going to have the chimney in it for the living room, and then the back one, not sure if that's going to have any access or anything going to that one. But that's kind of the idea. But it's really starting to look like a barn, like an actual barn instead of the big green turtle. I know we've said this before, but if you have kids and you've watched Wildcrats on PBS, we were calling this the Tortuga for a while because it looked like the Tortuga off of Wildcrats. Anyway, it's starting to look less like a big green turtle and more like an actual barn, so getting kind of excited about it. I don't think I've ever said this, but Tim and I we're looking at colors and ideas of what we're going to do with the fixtures, and since again this is very different than our initial plan with going with the barn with a house in it versus a barn and then building a house later, talking about how we're going to furnish it, what colors we're going to use. And I grew up in a stone farmhouse that was built in 1908. It was beautiful, absolutely loved it, and it just had the heavy wood, the hard wood in it, the really thick trim. The windows had the really big windows with the seats, and it was wonderful. And we're trying to do something like that here, where we have a lot of natural wood, and really excited about that, and looking at the colors, and it's just very different than what we have had before, because the last house, it was nice, it was pretty, but it wasn't really our style. And we're not really we're not pretty people. We're not the sterile kitchens, we're not cluttered either, and we're not the primitive or kind of the country look, but we do like the older farmhouse look where you have more of the wood and the natural wood, and we're looking forward to decorating. I'd love to find some old stained glass somewhere, talk to a girlfriend to see if at some point, maybe after COVID is done, we can go to some antique places and find some armoires, things like that. So really excited, but it's looking a lot better, looking more like a barn, and we're getting there.
Hey, Grandpa, tell us what you're doing.
I'm making a jigsaw puzzle.
So Daddy is going over there and doing the soffits on that side. Right, Daddy?
What?
You're doing the soffits on this side.
Yep. These pieces will go along there, and I gotta work down this edge. And once that's done, then I can go ahead and sheet it up and over, and then I'll be working on the far side. So my goal today, since it's about 4 o'clock, is to get all this done and all that sheeted, and then tomorrow we'll start on that side. Alright, working on the soffits on the east side of the house, which is over our master bedroom covered porch area, and going pretty smoothly so far. Just want to give you a little quick tip. So I'm running the string line, and a lot of people, when they run their string line, will attach it directly out here, put a nail in there, and they wrap their string around. The problem with that is you don't get right up against it. You know, you want to be as tight against it as you can possibly get. So what I do is I put a nail farther back. It's fun to do with one hand. I will wrap it around there. That way my string, sorry I got a pencil in my mouth. That way my string is pressed up right up against the board. So again, if you put a nail in the end right there, if you put a nail right here sticking out, you can never get the string pressed up against the board as tight as you want to get it. Usually you have a knot or you know, something that you're tying it with, or you wrap the string around the nail several times and that can push it out a little bit. So to make sure your measurement's correct, put your nail farther back and then run your string over the outside of the board that you want to lay it against. So why I'm doing this is because I don't know if this wall is perfectly straight. I don't believe it is. I know this truss got warped a little bit. So all my soffits around the whole building I'm doing this on, I'll go a certain length, you know, not too far, and then run a string line and then measure out from each one to the string. And then let's say like these are 9 inches. So instead of writing 9 1/8, 9 1/16, 9 whatever, all I gotta do is write, you know, plus a 16th, minus a 16th, plus an eighth, you know, whatever the measurement is on down. Usually it's not much. It's usually, you know, a 16th or an eighth. I think the biggest I've had so far is maybe a quarter, which means that that wall is bowing a quarter one way or the other, and I want to have nice straight edges if I can. So that's why I'm doing this. So I'll go through and measure every one from the back plate here out to the string, and then I'll just write on here, you know, minus a 16th, plus a 16th, whatever it is on down, and then I'll write on a board a scrap piece that I have with me, and then when I go down and cut everything, I know exactly what I've got. When I come back up, I just match the board that says a 16th to this one, and so on and so forth on down. And I'll leave the string line up to make sure that I'm still in line. I didn't cut one wrong or anything. So today's goal is, yesterday I got the soffit up on that side. You can't really see it, but wrapped around that whole corner down above the garage. So I'm going to finish up this corner. I want to get up, I want to get down to that, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to wrap around the side yet because it's still kind of muddy. I'm in the mud now. Not too bad though, it's been drying for 2 days, so if I can maybe get back into that spot, I may work on this outside there too. I went ahead and called the roofers and told them to be ready next Monday. So I've got 7 days from tomorrow to get this all done. And I've got to put my cupolas on top too. The plan was to put 3. So I'm hoping we can figure out exactly how we want to get those 3 up there. There's a little bit of debate on the fireplace right now to go with the wood burning or to go with like a pellet stove. Definitely not going to do gas. That's just a waste as far as I'm concerned. But we have, you know, as you can see, we have got, of this land is 160 acres, and probably 80 of it's timber. The rest is crops. There's a little bit of pasture. So we've got about 60 acres of crops, 80 of timber, and whatever the remaining is pasture ground. So we've got plenty of wood. So the idea originally was to do a wood burning stove and then heat the house and everything with that. Problem is we didn't plan on making the barn the house, so we didn't exactly plan for a place to put a big wood burning fireplace. So now we're trying to struggle to figure out how to get that put in, and it's not working out too well. We don't want to have the wood inside the house. Our last house we had a loader from the outside, which was great because I could just pile up wood there, go outside, load it, and none of the mess came inside the house at all. I can't do that in this one. So that's been a struggle trying to figure that out. But that one pellet stove would heat the whole upper floor of our house. And then we would just have to, the downstairs we had the radiant heat down there, so we had to figure out something for that. So That's the debate right now, is if we're going to go ahead and figure out a way to put a wood stove in and have an 8-inch chimney, 6 to 8-inch chimney, or do a pellet stove, which is more efficient, and have a little 3-inch pipe running out. The reason why I want the wood stove is, of course, wood's everywhere around here. It'd be free for us, just have to cut it up. It's not that big of a deal. Then we would get the nice look of a good, wood fire. The pellet stove just kind of blows a little flame, and it doesn't exactly give you the feel of a wood fire. So I don't know. The downfall to the wood fireplace is, of course, it's going to be, I mean, not an insert, but a freestanding one weighs about the same. But I've got to run bigger pipe. I've got to do a lot more changes. There's a lot more I'd have to do, and we'd have all the wood debris inside. So we're still working that one out, but we've got to make a decision this week because the chimney is going to be in one of the cupolas, and so I have to get that done, figured out before the roofers do their thing. So that's that. Just real quick, I want to show you a little bit more of what I did. I've already got the both these rows done here. Now on the outside, I'm not putting a 2x6 or anything out here because the less weight on this, the better. This is just hanging out here. It's stiff. Over time, you don't want it to sag. The best thing to do is, I've used nails, but if you use screws to make sure this doesn't come off, it's even better. The nails I use are the ribbed ones. I call them shanks. So anyways, like I said, I'll go through. So this was plus a 16th, so it'd be 9 and a 16th. Then I went to an 1/8, ended up down at a 1/4 right there. Throw a 1/4 here and then a 1/4 on the board that I cut, so I knew what to get when I brought back. So this side was off, bowed in a 1/4 of an inch. This one bowed in 3/8 of an inch. So now from the outside, when everything's done, both these will look straight. The ones up here are both cut at 9, and the one down at the end's cut at 9. Run a string in between them, measure off onto each one so that it's straight all the way down. So now I'm getting ready to put my pieces on. This will get me around that corner, this side, and all the way up this side to the peak. And